You're watching ABC4 News with Emily Flores, Glenn Mills, and Alana Brophy.
Today, the Senate finally unveiled their massive government funding bill just days before a potential shutdown.
That price tag, roughly $1.7 trillion. Washington correspondent Raquel Martin in the nation's capital with the latest.
Good evening. Negotiators have been working on this bill for weeks now, and there was growing concern that in the end, Republicans could reject it. But today we saw Republican leadership emerge saying they're ready to push this bill forward. With just days to spare before a potential government shutdown, Democrats and some Republicans are throwing their support behind a $1.7 trillion spending plan.
The bill's overflowing with good news.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the bill delivers for the American people. It expands health care coverage for new moms, veterans, and children, increases Pell Grants, includes billions to combat homelessness, and includes bipartisan reforms to the Electoral College process.
But it's an important step to preserve our democracy.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says the deal reflects Republican priorities.
This is not a close call. The Senate should pass this bill.
The new budget includes $48 billion in additional aid for Ukraine, which is $11 billion more than President Biden requested.
Our number one obligation is to defend the country.
But not all Republicans are rallying behind the plan.
It's an abomination. It's a no good, rotten way to run your government.
Republicans like Senator Rand Paul say Democrats are ramming through reckless spending.
4,155 pages. When was it produced? In the dead of the night.
In the end, Democrats need just 10 Senate Republicans to pass the bill by Friday. Right now, Senate Republican leadership is urging their members not to hold this process up, especially considering an incoming snowstorm. Once the Senate passes this bill, House Democrats say they're ready to take up a vote next. For now in Washington, Raquel Martin, back to you.
All right, thank you, Raquel. Well, in national news, continuing an earthquake in California, killing 2 people, injuring another 12. The 6.4 magnitude earthquake struck the Northern California coast early this morning. Now, widespread damage across Humboldt County. Rio Dell, the hardest hit city, according to authorities. Thousands are without power and crews scrambling to get things back up and running.
This is earthquake country. We do feel a lot of 3.5, 4 earthquakes, but to get a 6.4, it's really significant.
Residents have felt up to 80 aftershocks, they say, one reported to be a 4.6 magnitude. Officials saying this is the most significant earthquake the area has seen in about 11 years.
So my first thought was, okay, it's over. Like, that was my life, right?
And tonight we are hearing from the skier who was stuck in an avalanche for 8 hours up Neff's Canyon. This was last week. Well, Travis Hausner luckily made it out alive thanks to an off-duty firefighter who happened to be nearby. That's who you see here. Hausner was shouting for help for nearly an hour when that off-duty firefighter happened to be nearby and told rescue crews. But this snow sports lover says the accident will not keep him off the slopes.
I'm super grateful for all the people that got me out of there. But I wouldn't be me if I didn't want to go out and ski again. So first thing I'll probably do once I heal up is go skiing.
Hausner did get hypothermia and broke his femur in this accident. He said on social media this was the worst pain of his life. So it could be sometimes he's recovering before he's able to head back up that mountain.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
And there'll be a lot of people wanting to head up the mountains after we get this next storm.
Yeah, another round right for him, Alana.
Yes, accumulating snow on the way right as we kick off the winter solstice. We start with this wintry scene from Soapstone Basin Road. So pretty, but believe it or not, this photo taken in the fall. Yes, we're going to change things up with solstice on the way for tomorrow. We officially start astronomical winter at 2:47 in the afternoon. And that's right about just slightly after when all of our warnings will go into effect, because we are tracking our next storm system that moves in with a front. We've got accumulating snow on deck, as well as those alerts that are posted, ready to go and going into effect. We've got winter alerts, wind alerts, and even that wind chill, because an Arctic blast really takes over as the front opens the door for that Arctic air that's going to impact a huge portion of the United States. Also, another system possibly right ahead of Christmas weekend. Okay, let's talk about those warnings. We've got a winter weather advisory in purple for the Wasatch Front valleys, and in pink, you're seeing that winter storm warning. These go into effect at 2 p.m. The winter advisory will hold on until 1 a.m. and this does impact our valleys and the evening commute for your Wednesday. Now in the mountains, it will hold on a little longer with snow filling in pretty quickly and then holding steady as we head into early Wednesday morning. So we are looking at accumulations in both locations. Futurecast takes us through the timeline here so you know exactly what we're talking about. Here we are by 1 a.m. It's quiet, right? We start things off, but we started off with a bang because as we move through the morning commute, we see snow filling in for our high country. We definitely know that the cold front's going to take over. There it is by 11 a.m. in Cache Valley. It's going to continue to slide. Now our moisture is tied to the cold front as we roll through our Wednesday, 3 p.m. Ogden, Layton, Bountiful, Salt Lake, that's when you're going to see your burst of snow. It will accumulate, and we watch as the front slides a little further south, so Bountiful to Riverton, over into Heber and Tooele by the evening hours. So the evening commute on I-15 will definitely be compromised, so a heads up there. The snow will eventually dwindle. That band wants to head a little further south, but then it fizzles. We don't see much for the southern half of the state. We just deal with cold temperatures following that moisture. Now, we're not totally done because we get a break into Thursday, and then here's another quick hitter on Friday. This is important because it's a big travel week. This is right ahead of Christmas weekend. Now, we're not expecting major accumulations from that Friday storm, but we'll keep our eye on it. How about the Wednesday storm? Tomorrow, yes, 1 to 3 inches, generally speaking, for our northern Utah valleys. Benches at 3 to 6, 4 to 8 in our mountain valleys. Backside of the Wasatch and Park City included in that. Northern mountains could pick up anywhere from half a foot to a foot in the Cottonwoods, doing a little better, and that's just from the cold front coming through. Now, again, moisture tied to the front, but guess what's behind it? That frigid air. This is an Arctic front that's going to impact a huge portion of the U.S. and the air comes seeping in. Now we've got snow, but we're also going to see very gusty winds, westerly winds, and that's a problem because that Arctic air becomes very dangerous. We get very low wind chill values. We've got wind chill warning going into effect for the Uinta Basin and the eastern side of the state, as well as Cache Valley, Logan, Brigham City, and the backside of the Wasatch. The real feel of the temperatures could be anywhere from -10 to -20 in the Utah area. Southwestern Wyoming could get to -40. This could be the coldest temperature people living in these areas could ever see, and so these wind chill values really mean business. This is dangerous cold. You want to avoid time outdoors as this happens Wednesday night into Thursday morning in these locations. We're going to see very low wind chill values in the Salt Lake area as well. The Wasatch Front will be in the single digits, close to 0. Okay, winds also will wreak some havoc in the western Uinta Basin and Castle Country with a high wind watch in effect for Wednesday evening through the morning. We are going to see the potential for gusts up to 65 miles per hour. You want to secure loose objects now with this storm system. 20s, 30s, and 40s. We do warm up ahead of the front, which could mean some areas start as rain in our valleys. 30s in Price, 45 in Cedar City, 50 in St. George. Speaking of Washington County, well, we have a pretty quiet 7-day here. Temperatures rebounding close to average, warming up, but looking pretty nice. Again, 240. Tomorrow, 247. Tomorrow, we're going to kick off the winter season, and then we dry out as we roll into Christmas weekend. High pressure takes over and starts to build. We'll see cloudy skies, but a pretty active pattern with that rain starting as rain and turning to snow, possibly early Thursday morning, and then another brush-by system. It's going to feel like winter, and it's actually going to be winter as we head into tomorrow. Glenn, Emily, over to you.
All right, Alana, thank you. We have an update on the Crumbl cookie story we brought you just earlier in the newscast. In response to the findings, Crumbl Corporate releasing this statement to ABC4 saying, quote, "We are actively working to understand what has occurred at these specific store locations and will take appropriate action to ensure that all of our franchises are fully compliant with the law."
Keeping your health in mind this holiday season is important. We're not talking about the flu or COVID, but about your heart. The risk is serious, and doctors are trying to spread that word.
It's not just an issue that holiday heart is a benign condition. It actually is a very potentially serious condition that causes people to develop heart failure symptoms.
Increased alcohol intake can also result in what doctors call holiday heart syndrome. That's when binge drinking causes irregular heartbeats, which are associated with a higher risk for stroke. Lack of sleep also a major concern. A new study finding adults on average lose 39 minutes of sleep per night over the holidays.